You ever feel the world tilt sideways while you're still trying to stand upright? Like the ground itself decides to betray you the moment you think you've found solid footing? That was me, Friday 6. The red clay womb of Crystal Bay. The preacher's voice a low drone about returning to the dust from which we came. My boots heavy with grief and frost. Phone vibrating against my hip like a trapped wasp. And then the video loads, slow at first. Then all at once, chainsaws ripping through century-old cedar with the fury of a chainsaw massacre. The hand-hewn timber bridge my great-grandfather. Of my palms, calluses thick as armor plating. Every scar a chapter in the story of hulls I've coaxed from raw lumber. And that bridge? It wasn't just a crossing. It was the umbilical cord connecting our 12-acre island to the mainland. The place where I learned to bait a hook with worms that squirmed like they knew their fate. Where my dad dropped to one knee under a harvest moon in 1979, and while across the water the lakeshore haven, HOA's gleaming $4 million luxury retreat, sat smug on the opposite shore, their president Vivian Ashford probably raising a crystal flute of chilled Prosecco to the sunrise, thinking she'd just erased the final eyesore blocking her empire of waterfront perfection. But here's what this pressed khakis tyrant with her laminated bylaws and poured their concrete dreams over. Well, some foundations crack louder than others, and some cracks run straight to hell. Picture Crystal Bay back in 2010, the kind of place where the 4th of July smelled like charcoal and sunscreen, where Mrs. Donnelly's antique Vinrood coughed to life after I'd rebuilt it 5 times with nothing but baling wire and stubborn hope, where kids cannonballed off rope swings into water so clear you could read yesterday's headlines on the lake bed, where Mr. Fletcher, the Korean War vet with the limp and the heart of gold, fixed outboards for widows who couldn't pay, where Ms. Alvarez ran her summer camp with second-hand kayaks and unbreakable smiles, where the smell of pine resin and grilled trout drifted lazy over weathered cabins. Neighbors swapping stories without NDAs, the kind of place where a handshake was still currency and a man's word was his keel. Then the McMansions metastasized, glass and steel monuments. Campaigning for HOA president with brochures screaming, preserve property values. No rust, no clutter, no history. Her smile sharp as a fillet knife. Her eyes cold as the ruler she carried like a gavel. She won by 4 votes out of 15. Democracy, y'all. The harassment started soft. Polite reminders about my boat storage angles. Her measuring my dock length with spotless boat shoes. Standing there like a suburban coroner, her perfume slicing through the morning air like chemical warfare, then city citations, noise complaints for my Saturday Sanders, permit probes that cost me sleepless nights and panic attacks, each dismissed ticket a tiny win, but the war was just warming up. I'd be elbow-deep in varnish, cedar shavings curling like golden ribbons around my boots. The smell of linseed oil thick enough to chew. When the phone would ring, Mr. Hawthorne, reports of unauthorized commercial activity, and I'd feel the dread coil in my gut like a snapped winch. Cable, because every call was a reminder that I was one bad season from losing everything, from losing Elias all over again, from watching the only home my kids would ever know get auctioned off to some hedge fund bro who'd never smelled sawdust in his life. One dawn I catch her at 6:47 a.m., heels clicking across my dock like a metronome counting down to doomsday, photographing my skiffs. With the dedication of a crime scene tech, the flash of her camera cutting through the pre-dawn gloom like a strobe light in a nightmare. Morning, Vivian. I call, coffee sloshing over the rim of waterfront. Erase Elias, erase us. Grandma Beatrice, 90 and sharp as a gaff hook, couldn't visit Elias's gravesite without a boat now. Too frail for the chop, her hands trembling as she gripped the gunwale of my skiff, whispering, he'd hate this, Wyatt. Hate seeing us prisoners in our own home. My workshop flooded from delayed lumber deliveries, water seeping under the door like a slow-motion invasion. Property values tanked when buyers learned they'd need a water taxi to their own land. But the worst was the silence. For the first time in 70 years, the Hawthorne clan was. That's when I spotted the surveyors, unmarked boats gliding silent as ghosts, depth sounders pinging where our bridge used to stand, Vivian smiling from her deck, like a chess master who'd just taken a pawn, her binoculars glinting in the sun like the eyes of a predator. The funeral ambush was surgical. Elias passed Tuesday night at 97, peaceful as the lake at Glassoff. 3 trucks, a backhoe, chainsaws shrieking through century-old cedar like banshees. A 48-hour emergency notice citing imminent collapse filed while we grieved, designed to dodge any injunction. The crack of timber snapping like rifle shots, diesel fumes mixing with lake mist, muddy tracks gouging the sacred ground where Elias's ashes were scattered 2 days prior, the crew wearing Lakeshore Haven logo polos like they were proud of their vandalism. By the time I raced back, tires screaming on gravel, heart hammering like a 2-stroke at Redline. It was rubble, Vivian on her terrace, arms folded, watching the cleanup crew like a general surveying a conquered field, her smile thin and satisfied, the kind of smile that makes you understand why some people believe in hell. The legal siege began exactly 7 days later. Vivian wasn't satisfied with isolation. She wanted annihilation. First nuisance citations, my boat storage now detrimental to aesthetic harmony. Never mind 20 years in the same spot, visible only from her $400 a night sunset deck, where influencers posed with oat milk lattes. Then cease and desist letters claiming exclusive water rights. Elias when I was 12, even my nephew Caleb's kayak that he'd painted with glow-in-the-dark stars. I could taste the rage, metallic and hot. This woman was trying to fence the lake hour. Family had fished since before she was born, turn it into her private infinity pool. But Hawthorns build things, we solve problems with our hands. So while Vivian printed violations on 100% recycled paper, the irony, I raided Grandma Beatrice's attic, found a manila envelope labeled Lake Critical in Elias's spidery handwriting. Inside his 1954 hand-drawn surveys, measurements precise. He'd secured mineral and water rights to the entire lake bed, rights never sold, never transferred, still ours, every dock, every swimmer, every yacht trespassing on Hawthorne property without so. Mixing with lake water like a baptism, Vivian arrived with Deputy Martinez, claiming environmental vandalism. Deputy couldn't rule on site, ordered halt pending review. Vivian filmed me like every interaction, my phone propped on a sawhorse like a silent witness. While she played martyr online, I filed to record our water rights and easement, discovered I could charge rent for lake bed use, every dock, every buoy, every fountain pump on Hawthorne soil, $2,500 per month per dock, backdated to construction start, $90,000 owed before interest, liability for any environmental damage caused by their illegal operations. Vivian wanted to play property rights bingo. I just yelled house. Vivian's retaliation went nuclear. Save Our Shores petition flooded socials with pro graphics painting us as polluters. Local paper ran hit piece lake degradation concerns, fed by Vivian, ignored our easement. Then zoning pushed to ban replacement bridges forever. Councilman Mr. Hargrove suddenly driving a new Tesla after voting yes. I fought back with community, free Saturday tune-up clinics, neighbors bringing outboards, sharing coffee, cedar shavings, and laughter. Retired limnologist documenting resort's impact. Dissolved oxygen down 35%, clarity tanked. Fish stocks crashed 45%. Historical photos proved lake healthier with our bridge's minimal footprint. Marcus pulling out a 1972 water sample in a mason jar, clear as gin. This is what progress tastes like, he said, holding it to the light. Town council hearing packed, Vivian with slick slides. Architectural renderings glowing like Vegas. I countered with Marcus's data. Fishing guides testified about empty nets. Historical president read pressured sale letters. Vivian snapped. Some of us care about progress, not hillbilly nostalgia. Room froze. Council tabled decision. Temporary restraining order on bridge. But her mask slipped. Everyone saw the contempt. The room smelled like fear and old money. She escalated to financial warfare. $15,000 in fake fines. Liens threatening foreclosure. Generous buyout at $60,000, a quarter market value. Grandma Beatrice's medical bills looming like storm clouds. Fear tasted like rust, the kind that coats your tongue when you realize you might lose the only home your kids will ever know. Hired Atticus Lakewood, retired environmental attorney fishing our waters. Dry humor sharp as a treble hook. Office smelled like pipe tobacco and justice. Discovered we never signed HOA docs. She built her castle on quicksand. Son, time to pull the plug. Countersuit. $600,000 damages. Punitive. Injunction. Criminal referral. Town meeting standing room. I presented deed. Covenants. Fake inspection. Other families shared harassment stories. Mrs. Alvarez tearfully recounting forced sale of her camp. Vivian raged. Atticus dropped FBI bomb. Room detonated. Vivian's face the 500%. Internal emails showed Vivian ignored warnings, bribed inspectors, bridge demolition to hide violations near shore, for $1 million annual revenue on Hawthorne Lake bed, Federal Crimes Daily. Atticus attached a 2018 email from Vivian. Bury the bridge issue. No one will notice until it's too late. Power flipped. I owned the crime scene, and the crime scene was bleeding money. Backdated. Liability for cleanup. Rebuilt bridge with permits. Witnesses. Floating platform became evidence hub. Time-lapse caught septic spills. Illegal dredging. Vivian's fountain shooting. Treated sewage into the air like a middle finger to physics. Vivian smelled blood. Hired PI Mr. Slade. Cheap suit. Cheaper cologne. Tailing me to the lumberyard. Workshop break-in. Elias's antique plane smashed. Fake inspection shut me down for $4,000 remediation. Rumors of drug lab. Tax evasion. Grandma targeted with relocate for her health. Bribe via contractor Ray. $350. 000 cash. Implied harm. I broadcast refusal in hardware store. Juniper posted grandma's viral clapback. 60,000 views flipped public tide. Hashtag Justice for Hawthorne, trending locally. Arrest warrant. Sheriff under oversight. Vivian's law enforcement weaponization federal crime. Agent Sarah Kim personally called. We've been watching her for months. You just gave us the key. Labor Day? Perfect weather, 200 investors, officials, media in glass pavilion, Vivian in power suit, expansion renderings glowing, final obstacle removed. I entered uninvited, Atticus beside. Grandma in back, tears ready, presented 1954 deed, water rights, Marcus's graphs, declining oxygen, illegal waste. Agent Sarah Kim cuffed Vivian mid-sentence, Clean Water Act, fraud, intimidation. I served 48-hour eviction from Hawthorne Lake bed. Livestream hit 300,000. EPA sealed resort. Investors panicked. Vivian led away screaming appeals. Her $2,000 heels scraping the deck like a final. Kayaks. $2.8 million settlement funded Elias Hawthorne Justice Fund. 52 families saved. 92% win rate. Scholarship sent Marcus's daughter to study limnology. Grandma Beatrice passed spring equinox on. Bridge. Elias is smiling. Her hand in mine. The lake reflecting a sky she'd soon join. Lake recovered. Fish up 380%. Birds nesting. Algae gone. Workshop teaches handcraft. Bridge a pilgrimage. Site. Vivian pled to 9 years. Fines bankrupted her. HOA dissolved. Precedent cited nationwide. Atticus fielding calls from Texas to Maine. I stand where Elias stood. Cedar and hope in the air. 3 generations behind. 3 ahead. Bridge solid. Water pure. Community unbreakable. So here's the question that keeps me up when the loons call. When a system lets one tyrant bulldoze a legacy. Here, drop your fight in the comments. Because somewhere tonight another Vivian is measuring someone's dock, and they need to know the water runs deeper than she thinks. Hit that bell. Next week, the widow who sued the pipeline and won back her mountain. Remember, empires built on stolen ground sink first.